So we had 80,000 visits in 80 days. I think that's pretty good stuff. And for us, we're using that data. That's the other part. Not just a big win on the front end, but how you're using it later. So we have stronger awareness for our website. People did navigate around. They did their voting and they came back and looked around. We also had obviously increases to our website. But the last two bullets are really the big piece for us. So we had 80,000 visitors who came and voted. Of that 80,000, 60,000 of that population were good email addresses. So we know there's people who were creating email addresses, but we had 60,000 good ones. Of that 60,000, here's the good stuff. Of that 60,000, we communicated with them and asked them, may we keep you on our email list to talk to you about future programs like this and our products and services or special rates. 48,000 of those people said, no problem, keep me on the list. That's a good number, and I'll talk to you about why in a few minutes. And obviously we had good media coverage, so we ended up being the good guys in the side of our media. Here's a couple of our pieces that we used. Statement stuffer on the right, small ad on the left to a couple small community publications, and then just basically word of mouth. Here's our website on the left, and on the right you'll see is a different web page. This page is designed to drive people for our jointheexcitement.com. Ongoing presence to tell people about programs that are specific to promotions, attrition, so we're talking to our customers about award rewards, and a community section, very dynamic. We'll be launching this on the 15th of October. So here's what we have post-program. So we did this great program, it was awesome, we all feel good about it, and now we want to do something with this information. So what did we do? We used it to make sure we have all good quality email addresses. We developed nice, beautiful templates, didn't cost us a lot. We actually use our marketeer from Bridgeline, which is awesome in IAPS. And we have a new policy around opt-in, so we feel good about the people we're communicating to. We're doing all the right things from a compliance perspective, which for us in financial services is pretty rigid. And now we're saving a ton of money. And just to give you an idea of what that means, easy to throw that out there. Oh, we're saving money, we're saving money. But here's the real dollars. This doesn't include production. But if I were to send out a direct mail to 48,000 people, it would be over $21,000. Now, I'm not even talking about producing the piece, creatively producing it. I'm not talking about sending any fancy thing in it. This is just your run-of-the-mill letter. $21,000. And not only do we get to send it out to them, it takes time to get there, depending on where it's going, 3 to 5 days. And what else? We're lucky if it gets 1 to 3% response. That's on a good day. And not only do we have all those obstacles, but here's one more for you. We don't know if they even opened it. In my apartment building, there's a big bin. Everybody who gets their, solicitation mail right in the bin. It's packed every day. So if I send a direct mail piece out, what happens? It takes a lot of money, takes time. I don't even know if they looked at it. But if I send them an email and they're on my list and they've agreed to say yes to my communications, what do I got? I got a big win. And I can tell whether or not they opened it. And if they haven't opened it, I can send them another reminder. Or I can ask them some questions. Would you most be interested in this or that or something else? Then I can narrow in what's important to them so the screen becomes less and less prevalent. So these are my posse of homeboys, in case you guys are going to rough me up. But this is the part where I'd like to encourage a little bit of dialogue and maybe answer questions or ask questions of you. Yes?
So was there one winner, one nonprofit one?
Oh, that's a good question. So in our world, our footprint is really Berkshire County, Massachusetts, Pioneer Valley, the Capital Region in New York, and Southern Vermont. So there was one winner in each of those 4 markets. Anybody else? Go.
From a technical standpoint, was the form an open form? They could enter whichever organization that they wanted to, and then how did you logistically weed all that out? Did everything just spit into an Excel spreadsheet that you could sort, or you know, some people might say Humane Society, some might say the Humane Society of Vermont,
Yep.
but they mean the same thing. How did you
So
control that?
that's a good question. So our form itself was in our IAPS program. So, you know, it did all of the sorting for us, but we asked very specific questions about the nonprofits. So in the form itself, we could tell where they were and what the contact information for that nonprofit was, all of that kind of good stuff. Yep. Yes, sir.
Did you use any kind of tracking for your the press efforts, the advertising,
Yep.
and the stuffers that you use?
We-
Did you track those responses extremely?
We did, I'll unpack that one at a time. For the media, we did a lot of research to find out from a clipping service and from a collection impression perspective per market how much activity we had gotten from our media partners. So that part we did pretty good work in. The statement stuffers, we sent them out to our entire customer base, and we know how many of our customers actually voted. But I couldn't say specifically how many of the people got that and were impressed by that or something else, because many of these people were in our market. They could have been into our branch and seen a flyer in the branch, so it might have been multiple points of influence. So that part I can't speak to specifically.
So you didn't have a specific tracking or landing page or something?
We knew landing page, obviously. We know where people were coming from. So if they were coming from online banking to that page, we knew that. If they were coming directly to that page, we knew that as well. Most of the people who were voting were going directly to that page because the nonprofits had put the link up so they would go specifically to the voting page. So we knew that part. Just the stuffers, we did not. I could not
So
speak
what
to.
I'm trying to gauge is of the 80,000 people that participated, where did it come from?
I believe all of those 80,000 people were impressed through their nonprofit affiliation. I think that's where it came from, either by communication from that nonprofit or somebody from the nonprofit communicating to them. I think very few people were impressed specifically from our efforts. We only had two small ads in community pubs, and we had our stuffer, which really didn't go out until after the program had already been launched. And I think we had a billboard up, but it was the last couple of weeks of the campaign. So the lion's share, I would say, were brought to us by that advocacy on the side of the nonprofit. Anybody else? Yes.
Did the bank use social media channels at all to reach people, or were you relying on other people to use their social media channels?
That is a good question too. And prior to this, we did not use any social media. Part of what we are doing now, and this was the catalyst to start that work, was, you know, obviously Facebook, Twitter, and those kinds of mediums now. But prior to this, we had not, simply because we didn't have a proper website to really drive people to. I mean, the first work was really to create a good website and a good experience. And before you do that, you really can't drive people to a website that's not really functioning at its best. So we had to do that first, and it took a lot of time. Our organization is a $2.7 billion company, and it's grown very quickly over the last several years. But the resources at the institution now, or before, they're growing now, but before were very slim. And so having a small budget and a small group makes it a little bit difficult to do all the things you want to do. So it's really kind of a phased process for us. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
How did you decide on 80 days as the term of the promotion?
You know, it's really, I mean, that's where we landed. We had, you know, it just kind of worked out that way. We had 80,000 visits in 80 days. When we went back to look at, you know, how we did, that's really something that stuck out.
Consciously say demands at this on this date.
Yes.
Okay, so
Yeah. Just kind of worked out. Yeah.
And in November, mid-November, was that to precede the holidays and?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I would like to say that I picked that date and it was very scientific, but the truth of the matter is we finished the project and we just needed to launch it. It took a long time. I mean, we had several divisions to support for content, and I don't know about any of your organizations. I guess I could ask the question a little, but our organization was used to having our little posse of marketing people do all the work for them. So you want to move content, your group's got to do it for us, you know, all of that. So this was quite a feat for us. It took us 10 months to really go out, get the user data, test it out, build the templates, make sure everybody was happy, and then move over the content and make sure everything was good. I mean, if you can imagine a bank, for example, we had a lot of compliance issues. Our pages had to go through compliance, they had to be secure, everything had to be approved by at least 5 people in the neighborhood. So it was quite a job, and for us it took a long time. So after 10 months, we were just like, please press the button and let's keep it moving. So yeah, it was great. And I really do want to acknowledge our Bridgeline partners. They did an awesome job for us.